Hey everyone, welcome to episode 45 of the Ceres podcast. In this episode, we talk to John Molnar from the Cods Scallops Group. John is the co-owner with his wife Helen, and they have 4 outlets across the East Midlands. If John's name sounds familiar, that's because in January, the Cods Scallops was crowned Independent Fish and Chip Shop of the Year winner by Seafish. It was really good to get John on the podcast. His journey is really fascinating, and he's been through some tough challenges in life, and he probably has a few more as he builds the Cods Scallops. I do absolutely love seafood, and to see something like this rolling out is pretty exciting. Many would consider fish and chip shops doing more of a seafood option as being the future. What do you all think? For those of you who don't know who pays the Ceres podcast bills, head over to wordofceres.com. We have loads of great articles being uploaded every other day. It might seem a little early, but we have posted a couple of articles on how to help you plan for National Fish and Chip Day. We've also just uploaded our question time with Pete Fraser from Harbour Lights in Falmouth and Fraser's in Penzance. If you could do us a favour and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, it really helps with the ratings. And if you've got any friends in the industry, be sure to tell them about the Ceres podcast. Sorry about all the talk, and now on to episode 45 with John Molnar. John Molnar, welcome to the Ceres podcast.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on, mate. I'm really pleased.
No problem at all.
It took us ages to get it done, and you should have done it really before you got all busy, shouldn't you, really?
I know. I should have done it like 6 months ago, but there we go.
You wait for the moment. Yeah, you waited for the moment. But for those that don't know you, I just want to say congratulations on winning Fish and Chips for the Year.
Thank you.
It's a great achievement. And you are the owner of Cods Scallops Group in East Midlands now, I guess, because they sort of spread a bit, don't they?
Yeah. You got Long Eaton, which is Nottingham, Derby border, then Market Harbour, Leicestershire, and then 2 in Nottingham. So East Midlands. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you co-own them with your wife?
Yes.
And your better half?
Yeah, she's the actual boss.
we just touched on that before, didn't we? Yes. So tell us a little bit about your journey into sort of like the hospitality sector.
Well, I'd grown up. My dad was a chef. My dad wasn't a great dad, if I'm being brutally honest. He wasn't there. He worked away a lot, and wasn't really, a good father figure. I sort of went and did a YTS training scheme, sort of youth training scheme back in the day, which was 5 days at work, 1 day at college, 1 day off for £25 a week, and I loved it. I loved everything about. I think part of me wanted to sort of follow in my dad's footsteps, even though, I always remembered my dad saying to me when I said, "Dad, I'm going to be a chef," he said, "You're never going to be as good as me,
Oh, wow.
And, back then and my mum would defend him to say, he's only said that because, he wants you to go out and do it. And I think that was a massive driving force for probably 20 years of my life.
Wow.
My professional career, those words in the back of your head from your father to
deep,
say,
though, isn't it?
It's very. I mean, you've started very deep. Right? Should cut and start again. Yeah,
mate, like.
But yeah. So that was my childhood really, and did a youth training scheme and went to college for 2 years and trained at a 4-star hotel and then went and worked all over the world. Really went to Scotland, worked in a very sort of boutique-y Michelin levelled boutique hotel, worked in Bermuda for a while, for about a year, and then came back to sunny Nottingham.
You didn't get lost in the Bermuda Triangle then?
No, it's a fantastic island though. But.
So, how does that, do you think, because in some ways, you're we mentioned this just before, you're a bit of a high achiever. Do you think that's because of that impact, of your dad sort of?
It's a massive driving force. Yeah, my work ethic has always been first in, last out. When I was training, wherever I worked, I was always the first person in that kitchen door, and I would be the last person out. And I think the drive was, I am going to be as good as you. I am probably going to be better than you, and I'm going to show you. And yeah, it stuck with me for a while. But
yeah.
probably did it in a good way, really.
When did you sort of let go of that, or is it still in you?
I mean, my dad died in sort of 1993, so I was only 20 when my dad died. So I was still young. I was still training. You know, I wasn't at all established in a business. So, you know, I was probably a chef de partie at a sort of luxury hotel, and he passed away, and it's still with me. But I've just learnt to deal with it. I've just learnt to, you know, take the positive that he probably said it to make me be a driver, and it has. It's
I suppose in some ways, if it was the other way around, like you probably would have been a bit more relaxed, maybe.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
So when you came back to Nottingham, then where were you sort of working then?
And then I was head chef. Came back from Bermuda as a sous chef, and then worked in a few country house hotels as a head chef, and then wanted to sort of do a gastropub. I think back in 2007. The word gastropub was in London, and that was it. So the guy I worked for at the time, I said to him, look, I want to leave, I want to do my own thing. And he said, look, let's talk and come up with a sort of partnership that works. So 4 of us got involved, and we set up a pub company. I was the sort of head chef, MD, pot washer, the whole shooting match. And I just did really solid pub food, you know, really good bangers and mash, a really good Sunday lunch. We made bread every morning. We sold the bread in the pub. You know, we made chutneys and jams and that sort of thing. But it was just solid British food, really. And one of those elements was fish and chips. Yep. You know, back in 2007, I think we started doing fish and beef dripping. And back then, I mean, pubs were like, wow, what are you doing? You know, so I set that up and then off we went.
How many pubs did you get to?
Got to 5. Got to 5 pubs. I ran them. The others were involved financially, and also, you know, some support with interior design and banking and that sort of thing. But I ran all the pubs. But then it just sort of went to an end, really. It just got to the point where you know, the relationship was breaking down. I wanted different things for the business to what they wanted, and inevitably it was gonna split.
Was it always like a goal of yours to be like self-employed, do you think?
I always wanted. I think when I was training in the hotels, I wanted to be a really good head chef. I wanted to be a head chef that was, you know, and when I was a head chef, I worked in a place, we got a couple of rosettes, we got a bib gourmand, and I wanted to be a good solid level. And then I think it just kind of evolved as I got a bit older. I just thought, you know what, why not? You know, let's have a go at this. And I remember when we did the pubs, I asked my mum to remortgage a house for I needed 25 grand to put my share in. So everyone was putting 50 grand in, but I put 25 grand in, and then I took a 15 grand salary instead of a 30 grand salary for 2 years to pay the other 25. And I remember my mum remortgaging the house, and I was like, this is like, you know, but straight away she was, no problem, I'll sort it. So it was a sort of right thing then for me to sort of go and do, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's nice of her to do that, but that just shows her belief in you as well. Though,
amazing. You know, my mum was an amazing woman. You know, like I said, my dad was a chef, but my mum was a cook. My mum was my mum and my dad. You know, she was, I remember being at 8 years old making cheese sauce with her on a Sunday, and she used to make bread, and she'd make the most fabulous, you know, wholesome British food, and it was just that's where I got the passion from. Really. That's where I started.
So where does like the idea or the concept, the initial concept for Cods Scallops come about?
So the pubs were trading. I mentioned to the other directors I wanted to do a fish and chip shop. I just wanted to offer, you know, world-class fish and chips, really. That was the aim, to sort of do world-class fish and chips, but also fish being the word. You know, fish is above our door. You know, it's fish and chips. And I just couldn't believe... And I had an amazing relationship with my fishmonger, and I still do. And all this fish was coming into the pubs every day, and I was thinking, why can't you get this in a chippy? Like, why? I just couldn't... I don't know whether it was a chefing me or the practicalities, because I'd never run a shop. So started looking into it, and in 2009 found a site and opened it in 2011. But I still had the pub company on the side. But the ethos behind it was world-class fish and chips, but also let's showcase the best of what's landed.
Yeah.
And let's try and offer that baked or battered, because mackerel doesn't really batter that well. Sardines don't batter that well. Scallops don't really batter that well. No. So that was the kind of...
Pelagics are pretty disgusting battered. I'm not being funny. Like, I remember Hugh Fernley-Whittingstall a few years ago did that fish fight. And he was saying, everyone do that mackerel bat. I don't know if you ever got behind that. It's just like, I saw people battering it. I was just like,
what are you doing?
Like, like bread it at least. Like,
yes.
a bit of a pane and breadcrumb, and it'd be nice. Like, but to have it battered, that oiliness, But so, what would you say was the first sort of thing you learned in your first site?
So before I opened, I rang Tracy Polskett and Matthew, and I was looking at I didn't know anything about the industry. I looked up the Fish and Chip Awards because that was the guide. They just won in 2011. We were about to open. Rang Tracy and said, "Look, can I come up?" I'd researched ranges. I'd researched fresh v frozen at sea. I'd researched potatoes, but putting it all together in a fish and chip environment is very difficult. It's very different to a pub. You walk into a pub, you have a drink, you have a basket of bread, you have 5 minutes, you peruse the menu. You've got 20 minutes. In a chippy, they stood, check on cod and chips. You're like, 3 minutes later, where is it? And I'm like...
Everyone's giving you the daggers.
You're like... And you're so open, you're exposed. They're staring at you, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck?
How long did you spend with Tracy and Matthew?
I spent a day with Tracy. So I got there. I said, look, let me come and peel potatoes for you. So I just spent...
Matthew would have loved that.
I got there at 7 in the morning, so left Nottingham at 5, got there at 7, spent all day with them and just hammered them. I just picked as much info out of them as I could. And they were amazing. And then Tracy, about 18 months later, came down to the shop. And was really helpful. She sort of guided us and said, look, you should be doing it like this. And she always said the product's amazing. And every time I see her at awards, she's like, I knew you'd be all right. I knew you'd be all right.
She's like your favourite aunt. She just really takes you under her wing. Like, she does care. Like, she massively cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was the kind of...
So so straight away you thought, I've got to be talking to the people at the top of their game here.
Yeah, why not pick their brains? Why? I went round. I literally went to probably 30 fish and chip shops. I went to Magpie, and I always bought 2 portions. And my wife thought I was loopy, and I would eat a portion, and then I would peel the batter off. I would look at the flakes of the fish. I would look at the size of the box. I would weigh the chips in the car, and she'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, John?
It explains why you needed to start running in your 40s like this.
So I'd done all that, but then I just thought, you know what, why not go to the person that's just won the best shop in the UK and see how they do it?
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal how they set up, and literally at 11 o'clock their doors opened, and I was like, wow.
That shop always impressed me. I remember because Matthew, they were using our batter for a while, and I remember he just said, we're so busy, we haven't got time to make batter the way we used to. And you'd get there and it'd just be like Q, and the banter though never let up. I loved watching Matthew work. He just always having a laugh with his customers.
And he's a phenomenal fish fry. Phenomenal. When he was prepping the fish in the morning, I was looking at him thinking
he could do it blindfold.
And his spuds, and when he created that colander that he wanted everyone to buy. Do you remember that?
The lobster basket.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's genius. I wouldn't say you'd sell them because you can buy them anywhere. The system is, widely available. But it was a genius thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys follow that method here, but I just thought it was a great method.
It was brilliant.
And Matthew will find a way around something. He should have been an engineer in a different life, if I'm honest. But no, very impressive. So now you've come up to sort of is it 4 sites now?
Yeah, 4.
What would you say that you're sort of what would you say maybe your biggest growing pain's been looking at that?
I think staff. I think the big thing for me, I came out of the pubs in 2017 and just concentrated on this full time, which just made me sort of focus fully on the business because I had to really.
Yeah.
But also I just saw it as this could go mega. This could be amazing. But the biggest growing pain is finding the right staff.
Yeah,
I think if your product's good enough, people will come. But I think location's important because you need the right amount of chimney pots around you and the right location. But getting the staff to create the product is the biggest growing pain.
Would you say there's a difference between your 4 sites, your 2 Nottingham ones, compared to your Leicester one, for argument's sake, or
in regards to
staffing?
Yes, yeah. I mean, opening in Market Harbour was the biggest struggle for us because it was the first time we were detached. I think the good thing about Nottingham was we have a sort of group WhatsApp rota. So if someone's short at Bramcote, yeah. So we'll put it out there. Look, there's a shift tonight at Long Eaton. Do you fancy it? And a lot of the time we'll pay for the travel because it just makes it easier for me to make sure that the right. And also they know the brand, they know the shop. But Market Harbour was detached. It's an hour from here. So getting over there, and we had training. We had some chefs training here, so we put them in the hotel opposite. We paid them for a 4-day week when they worked. Paid them for a 5-day week, and they only worked to 4. We paid them allowance so they could have food. We really sort of made them understand the brand.
Yeah.
We go to Market Harbour. Within 2 weeks, they both leave. And you're like, what have you just what a waste of 8 weeks, because you've had them here for 4, you've had a couple of weeks training, they're on site 2 weeks before you open, and then we just struggled to try and. The problem is, for me, is we're chefs, or I'm trying to look for a chef, but I think our product's no different to a top quality restaurant. The difficulty is it's the same. So it's either battered or baked, and it's a selection of fish. They get bored very easily, and that's the nature of the job. But we can't do anything about that. So we struggle, but we've now got a stable team there.
So how do you find sort of an in-between chef and a cook, or is it just someone that's curious about food, essentially?
A lot of the time, we try and all my managers are chefs that have either worked for me or I know of. Just the way it's happened. I've got a couple of really good female chefs as well that have worked for me in the past that have kind of just thought, you know what, I like this. It's still really good quality fish. It's amazing quality fish.
Yeah.
I'm still pan frying scallops. I'm still doing some beautiful Cornish squid that we've got on at the moment. We had a fish stew on in the summer that was really, really popular, that was made to order. But I'm getting every Sunday off. We shut for 2 weeks at Christmas. They get private healthcare. They get 2 nights off a week. So as a work-life balance, anyone with a young family, as you know...
They're probably quite shocked with all that, though, aren't they? I suppose their perception walking in is probably like, going for a job at the chippy.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's a chippy. Why do I... And it's that, why do I want a chippy on my CV? Well, now it's the best chippy in the UK.
Well, yeah. So, again, that shows them, I wonder if that wagged a few tails out within the business, once you'd won that, 'cause it sort of puts a stamp on things, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think moving forward, yeah. And I go around the sites 2-3 times a week, and I was at Bramcote yesterday, and the buzz. I went in there, and there's 6 girls on. That's all that's on. Yesterday lunch, 6 staff, all female. They were smashing it out the park. Jodie, assistant manager, was absolutely on fire because I think winning it is just the sort of banter and the sort of camaraderie and the fact that they know they're going to be busy, but the way they're doing it is phenomenal.
It's put a spring in their step as well, hasn't it?
Big time.
That's really good. And I think one thing that impressed me about you a little bit was when you said that at the awards, you never got time to say, you wanted to really make time to say bye and thank you to your team because you were going to see them a few days later again.
Yeah.
And I thought that just tells me that you really did care a bit about, that they've done well and you wanted to just let them know.
I was the last person up on stage because I wanted my staff to go up before me because they've won it.
Yeah.
They've fried through the mystery rounds. When we got Mystery Shop, they were there. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I put the ethos in place and the work ethic and the rest of it, but they're the ones that frying the fish. So
yeah, it's true. They're the ones that are actually making it happen, aren't they? Yeah, you did the paperwork and all that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but they're the ones that are making it happen.
Yeah, no, they won it. 100%.
And how has it been the early days of this, the winning?
Amazing for business.
Yeah.
Business has probably spiked, 35-40%.
Across all sites? Or?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Bramcote's probably slightly higher, but as a percentage across the 4, we're up. Even in Market Harbour, which is detached, which is phenomenal for business.
Let's go back to the Cods Scallops for a minute. What would you say inspired the design of Cods Scallops?
I wanted it to be seasidey.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the field to be seaside, even though we were landlocked, or we are. All the shops are landlocked at the moment. We're probably 70 miles from the coast, and
we'll give it 30 years.
Yeah, and I really loved. I went to rockfish in Dartmouth, and I think Mitch Tonkson's amazing. I really do. And I think I went there and I just, what he's doing is so far ahead of anyone in the industry. And I just thought, if I could grab bits of this and take it and put it in Nottingham and do my spin on it, why not? So, the tiles were a similar blue to, I think, the Rockfish tiles, but then everything else was just seaside deck chair fabric. Because I think anyone to say, I don't take anything from anywhere are liars.
It's impossible.
It's
surely,
impossible, it is. And if you see something really good, then...
Even the good and the bad, though, surely.
Yeah.
I think I might take something away from here today, and when you just do, naturally.
And I took the lobster pot light fittings I took from Scallop Shell, I think, and I went to Star in the Harbour, and I saw some bits from that I liked, and so we just kind of pulled it together, but wanted to keep it very deck chairs out the front, and I wanted the staff in knotted hand, because I remember doing the awards, and you got marked. I found out that you got marked down for not wearing a hat.
Yes, that's the thing.
And I thought, fucking hell, what, really? Like, they're going to mark me down for not wearing a hat. And I thought, well, how can I do a hat that... I don't want them to wear a baseball cap, and I don't want them to wear a white trilby, and I don't want them to wear a skull cap.
Yeah.
And I thought and we had an image that we were looking at wallpaper of a 1960s beach scene, and the guy at the front's got a knotted hanky, and I went,
okay,
there you go.
Wow.
So we do knotted hankies.
So if I might be speaking out of turn here, but a few years ago, you either lost points or gained bonus points for wearing a hairnet under your hat as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I might be misremembering, but I remember when I entered back in the day, way back when, in 2006ish maybe. Like that was a thing.
And name badges were the other one.
Oh, it's still a thing, I think. Name badges.
Yeah, so we one of the girls painted a load of chip forks black.
Perfect.
And then she glued some pins to the back. So
that's a really creative way of doing it.
All the and it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's a chip fork,
but it looks right as well.
And I'm saying to her, "Well done, you." She's like, "Look, I'll do all the staffs. I'm really into it." I think she's doing an art course, so she said, "Can I paint them?" I said, "Yeah."
I think she set up a little side gig.
I tell you, yeah.
everyone on Facebook about that. But it's just like, I do think that looking back a little bit, you've come from, like, let's say more of the sort of like more general hospitality chefing side. So you would probably see that and think, what the hell are they playing at? Why do I need a name badge? Why do I need hairnets and hats? Like, if the food is great and it's not full of hair, then surely it's great. Like, and I think that's something that our industry probably needs to sort of speed up on a little bit.
I think more emphasis should be on the quality of the product. I think I don't know the percentages, but I think it's what 20% is based on food.
Yeah.
But I just think that split should be different, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, now at least
but I've won it now, so I don't really have to care.
You've won it, and you don't really care anymore. But you have got a pedestal, and they should hopefully listen to your feedback.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. And listen, I'll get hold of Nikki Hawkins and I'll speak to her and let's hope.
Have you not spoke to her yet since last week?
No, I've not spoke to her. No one's rang. I don't know whether they just assume you're going to be drowning in customers and fish, or they don't want to speak to you. I don't know, but you thought a little courtesy call to say, "How's it going?"
Yeah,
wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, but. I'll text Nikki and tell her that. Or I'll text her and say, because of you, it's stuck with me. Yeah, I probably won't get a response either. So how would you say Cods Scallops has probably evolved over the years?
So we evolved. Obviously, after seeing Tracy and Matthew in 2011, and I just wasn't ready. I had a till system that wasn't quick enough. We had checks and printers, and the checks kept falling off in the fryer because the heat and the fat would then dissolve the check. So we were in the shit. We were in the shit because we were busy. So we've evolved. We now have computer screens that the orders go from the till to the computer screen, and we evolved our menu because I opened and thought I want to do all this stuff, and I want to offer so we opened and we just couldn't cope. I was having whole baked baths, and then realising it's 40 minutes. They don't want to wait 40 minutes for a whole. Or I wanted to do salt crusted bream, and even for a takeaway, and I just thought and I thought, well, actually, do I need to do salt crusted bream? I'm doing it for me, because I want to go to takeaway and go. I went to a takeaway and got Moules Marinière, salt crusted bream, and some bouillabaisse to take away, and it was 14 quid. But actually, the main driving force was fish and chips.
Yeah.
And we were struggling with everything else that the fish and chips were suffering.
Yeah.
It was. We just couldn't get the product out. So we I sat down and said, well, let's strip it back and just do beautiful piece of bream, baked, all battered, and that's it. And it goes in a box with a wedge of lemon, and they can have it with chips or a salad. And we evolved from that, and we almost started again because, I'd gone in with my chef's head on and nearly fucked it up.
So essentially, you just figured out that do what customers want and simplify.
And simplify. And if you've only got 6 fish, then do that 6 fish really well. And then all of a sudden, I thought, well, supermarkets for me are a massive inspiration because they don't have chocolate at the till because they don't want you to buy it. And my thought process has always been, I want as much money out of you when you come in my shop as I physically can without you feeling like you've been ripped off. So I want you to come in and go, wow, you do 3 scallops for £5 takeaway in garlic and herb butter. Well, I'll have some scallops. And you can see them, they come and they ring the missus, do you want some scallops to start? And do you want a few king prawns? and they've got some cockles and whelks and mussels like you have at the seaside with black pepper and vinegar. Do you want some of them? And that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to you feel like you've gone away and gone, I've had brilliant fish and chips, but I've also had some whelks like I used to have at Cromer when I went 3 weeks ago, or I had some king prawns that I had when I went to Sardinia, and I wanted to just grab as much money out of you, and that's how we've evolved as a business. And
do you find it hard keeping those products hot for travel? Because I know with obviously battered products, you've got that sort of. Whereas a friend of mine said he did try baked products, and the common complaint he was getting all the time was they got home and it wasn't hot enough.
Yeah, we haven't had that.
No.
The baked scallops and the baked and the prawns and stuff. We put in sort of aluminium foils.
Oh, okay.
And that holds it holds the heat well. It does mean the scallops will deteriorate slightly. They're not as crusted on the skin as you want, but you're still getting some beautiful scallops. To take home for your tea, and you take a bit of garlic mayonnaise with it. And all of a sudden you've got an amazing starter. You buy a bag of salad from the shop and you're away, or you buy a salad from us, and you're away.
So when you're sourcing fish, are you conscious of whether it's MSC certified or what's the other one there when it's farmed? I forgot.
Yeah.
But are you sort of is this a concern, or do you just try and source what's local? Well, not locally, but what's available? Let's say.
I want it to. I mean, our cod is sustainable, and we're frozen at sea for cod. MSC is another thing that is just so confusing. But I want it to be sustainable. I want it to be well managed. But my fishmonger will. I'm guided by my fishmonger. My fishmonger will ring me daily, and he rang me today, and he said, "We've got some absolutely amazing mackerel tomorrow. It's stunning, because he'll be speaking to the guys on the coast. They'll send him a picture of it. I'll get a picture, and he'll go, "It's £4 a kilo, John." Wow. And then I'm like, "Yes, please, I'll have that." Because so. If it wasn't landed, then it wouldn't be sustainable. I'm guessing, there's a lot of it, so the price is quite reasonable. Yeah. So we kind of go on that. But, our scallops are MSC, our mussels are MSC, but we can't put that because we broke the chain of custody.
So in order to use the chain of custody, let me get this right, you've got to be signed up to the chain of custody.
Yeah.
And why would you break the chain of custody?
Because my fishmonger isn't MSC. And he said... I think his exact words were, "Why the fuck am I going to spend £7,000?"
I love the fact that you quoted him.
For you to say you sell MSC mussels. The mussels are banging. So
yeah, and mussels are generally on the cheap side.
Yes.
Very value, shall I say, and tasty. Just throw that in there. But so if he throws on £5,000, that cost is going to come down to you. So
yeah. I mean, we do mussels mariniere takeaway now for £4.50.
Yeah,
and it's a nice sized pot. It's a good starter. Would I sell it if I had to sell it at £7?
Probably not. No.
The customer?
It stops becoming an impulse, and it starts to become, are we having mussels tonight?
And also then it's, I'll have mussels with chips, and that'll be my meal, because I don't want to spend £7 plus another £7 for a cod,
rather than 2 cod and chips and mussels.
Yes, that's where it is.
And I think you mentioned and I think you're not the only one. I've mentioned it to Lauren a few times as well. Is that you feel sort of aggrieved that the higher volume you use, the higher the price is, as opposed to like any other sort of transactional purchase. The more volume you use, the lower the price gets. And I think you're not the only one to say that to me. That you feel that it's a bit of a kick in the teeth.
It goes on your
almost.
tonnage, doesn't it? And when you are evolving a business and you've got 4 shops and they're doing a lot of ton of cod, your MSC bill's huge, and it's to use the eco label. I think if you just, I don't know, maybe if they put a levy on the fish coming in, it was £1 a kilo more, or there's better ways. I think
there must be, but I think the other problem is that there is a levy on all fish most fish that's landed in the UK by sea fish as well. And I can't remember what that is. It's a kilo price. And a guy was telling me in Brixham the other day, because he's got a crabbing company, and he said that that there's too many levies. Like there's too many things.
Yeah.
Where the price is still going to come down, because if they put it at the top end, let's say rather than charging everyone a fee, they just charge the top end fisherman 20 grand. Let's say, well, he's going to put it on, or she, and put it all the way down. So it's still going to come down to you. So do you see there a day being when you probably look at either trying to renegotiate or taking that off the menu, do you think? Or
I think I'll still say that our cod is MSC, but I just won't use their eco label, because there's got to be a point where they've got to say, well, actually, you've got to 10 shops. What's it going to be like then? And it just wouldn't be. I'd have to then put my cod up by 20p a portion or 30p a portion just to use the eco label. Well, I think if you asked 100 customers coming in the shop, do you want to pay $5.50 for the cod or $5.80, because it's the same cod, we just not got that label, they're going to say $5.50.
Do you think customers recognise the blue label?
2%?
Yeah.
Maybe 5% max.
But really, what would be more beneficial to your customers would be paying £5 for something instead of £7.
Yeah. All day long.
Yeah, and it's better for you because you sell more of it, and it's better for the fishermen because they sell more of it too.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be, everyone's turning over more product.
Yeah. So, you just mentioned 10 shops. Where do you see it all going? How many would you like? And what's your first plan in the foreseeable future, would you say?
I think short term, we've just done the development kitchen, which obviously you sat in now. So our production development kitchen was done 2018, and this was done to sort of go to that next platform. So as long as demographics are right, I could feed probably another 3 or 4 shops from here, which we centrally produce and develop everything. So I've always been a believer. I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs are dreamers, aren't they? Let's be right. I'm a dreamer. I'm a big dreamer, and occasionally those dreams turn into reality. And this is a reality this is a dream that's turned into a reality. Yeah. And I'm not going to say I want 100 shops or 500 shops. I don't have a figure, but I think as long as I can grow organically and they're owned by me, not the bank, I'll give it a go. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
And do you see that that sort of freedom? Like, you don't want to be tied into investors and so on?
No. I mean, if someone, if capital ventures come along and say, look, we're going to give you a lump of money to roll this out, you've still got to roll it out with the staff that are passionate enough to showcase that. Yeah. There's no point me rolling out 5 a year and it being diluted to the point where you don't get a smile, you don't go enjoy your food, sir. The sea bass isn't as crispy skinned because the person on the grill hasn't been trained properly. All of a sudden, it's diluted everything, hasn't it? And I think that would just ruin it.
You don't want to just tender everything to the lowest bidder.
Yeah,
it's just like you lose that sparkle.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, and that individuality.
So do you think Nottingham's really sort of getting behind it now? Or all the sites, all the locations? Do you think they're really getting what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think initially the sales were always cod. Cod and haddock were when we opened. I think our sales was like, I don't know, maybe 95% battered fish, and I think probably, I'm guessing cod and haddock was 60% of that. Whereas now our battered versus baked is about 60-40.
Okay.
And the species have improved massively. That we sell probably, hake's our third best selling fish now, behind cod and haddock, but it's catching haddock up, and we're a cod area. Bass scallops, mussels. We sell a lot of mussels, a lot of oysters.
Does it have any workflow problems when you start to increase baked products, though? Like, because with a range, you can keep throwing product through, can't you?
Yeah.
What are the sort of limitations you're hitting?
So we put induction cookers in, we put planchas in, which means you can cook a piece of bass in 3 minutes on a plancha. The only things that you know when you're doing a whole baked fish, whole baked lemon sole is 25 minutes. I can't do anything about that. I mean, we are putting combi ovens in, so we're just putting a new combi oven in downstairs, which will take that time down to about 9 minutes. If you go for a really good curry and you wait 40 minutes, is that a problem?
No. I suppose, do you envisage yourself doing maybe more click and collect and things like that? So maybe people can order it in advance, maybe?
Yeah, we're looking at that at the moment. We're looking at a couple of companies to do pre-order click and collect, because the person that's got 3 kids in the car that still wants a baked lemon sole isn't going to necessarily wait 25 minutes.
And that might really help you, because if they're on the other side of Nottingham and they're just coming out, they could just quickly order whatever they want.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we've got a demo next week, actually, so I'd like to think by the summer we've got an app and we've got a facility to click and collect.
Wow. But I think that will just massively just open up your menu to people as well.
Yeah.
So do you see that there's more baked in takeaway or restaurant than takeaway?
It's an even split, really. I think what we find is we'll get people that come on a Wednesday and will have a baked piece of bass with a red cabbage pear and salad or whatever salads we have on, and they might come back on a Friday and have cod and chips. So I'm getting a couple of bites of the cherry.
That's really important. That's important that you've managed to sort of just, because otherwise it would just be bad cod, see you next week.
Yeah.
But so essentially you have got variety, but it's all of the seafood variety as opposed to kebabs, pizzas, pies. Yeah. I don't know if you do homemade pies. So
we make our own pies. Yeah. So which again we didn't do until we did this development kitchen. I think our weakest products on the menu were pies and fish cakes. But now they're probably as strong as the fish.
Wow.
So, our pies just last year won Pie of the Year at the Melton Pie Awards. And we entered all 3 pies. So we entered the steak and ale, we entered the chicken ham and leek and the vegan pie, and we got gold, silver and bronze.
Wow. That's really
which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it just means the quality is right.
Yeah. And to get an award from pie people when you're not really pie people.
We were sat with farmers, bakers. It was 300 people of just in tweed and just smelt a bit farmy. And we walked in there just smelling of salt and vinegar. So it was amazing.
And I suppose, and now you know what's in that pie. You know everything.
It's local beef. It's our own ale. So we have our own scale ale made for us by a Nottingham brewery called Shipston. So it's got our ale in it. It's got carrots, button, onions, leeks, celery. It's got beef stock in there. It's got tomato puree. It's made like you'd make a pie at home. We finish it with Worcester sauce because I like that sort of sharp sort of Worcester sauce flavour in there. And then the pastry is made to our recipe and.
Fantastic.
As you can see, the guys now, they're filling 300
making
pies.
Lots of pies, 300 pies. That's amazing. And at least you're not just relying on, I don't want to say it, but like the pucker pie type thing. You're really trying to build your own product here.
Yeah, I mean, pucker's got it's a massive part of the market, isn't it? Their products, they do it well, and it fits the purpose. But I wanted to offer a pie that I would eat at home.
Yeah, and if you was to scale up to, let's say, 10 shops, that's rather than 300 pies, it's 3,000 pies.
Yeah.
How do you scale that?
Well, that's where we'd have to look at. I mean, we've already we put a bigger walk-in freezer here. We're putting another walk-in fridge, so we'll have 2 walk-in fridges, 2 walk-in freezers here. We make the pies raw, and then we freeze. So at the moment, we're making about 1,200 pies a month, but we only make them twice a week. So what we'd have to do is we'd get another chef in, and we'd just scale production up.
Scale up, get some brat pans.
Yeah, we've got one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
I love those things.
We're already ahead.
Yeah, I never saw that. Saw that.
I'll run you a bath in it in a bit.
Lovely.
Temperature.
Yeah, now you're telling everyone I smell. So, talking of growth and the staff, and what else are you sort of doing to motivate the staff? To teach them about seafood and fish and chips, and are there training courses, or is it just sort of like taking people under your wing, like informally?
We haven't. there's a college next door actually that's a catering college, so we took an apprentice from there. We've got 2 here at the moment. We do it internally. What we try and do is we send them to the fishmongers. So because all our fish comes in filleted and portioned, because of the amount we're now using, we'll buy some whole fish. Like we say, we'll buy some whole lemons, we'll buy whole mackerel, a couple bass, but majority of the time it's filleted and it's portioned because I wanted it a set price for a set portion. So we send them there for a couple of days, and they get up at 2 a.m. and they come back and just say how cold it was. Why did you do that to me?
They see it as punishment.
Yeah. Well, God, I don't want to do that again. And then we just go from there. And as they, as they get more into it, they'll, when we give all the staff fish and chips every week for the sort of staff treat. But I'm a believer that if they want to try a bit of baked bass, then have it. I'm not saying you've just got to have cod, you've just got to have had it. And a lot of them will say, oh my God, we had chalk stream trout. And for a farm product, I think it's amazing. And it's, oh my God, I tried some chalk stream trout. It's really, really beautiful. And they'll buy it and take it home. And that's the biggest thing you can get them to do, which then means that they'll pass it on to the customer.
Generally, people, the generation of today, let's say, anyone below our age would be not adventurous when it comes to eating seafood.
Yeah.
And so if they're getting their head around fish like this in a very informal way at work, that might help them tell other people about it as well.
Yes, yeah, 100%, yeah.
But it's something that we talk about all the time. Like, even with the guy that I was with yesterday, we were chatting about it, and he said, like, you can't. People know what they want, and they're afraid to sort of deviate from that.
Yeah.
And it probably is the same with beef as well, but we don't see it as much.
It's the same when you go and eat anywhere, isn't it? If you're going for a curry tonight, in your head you think
lamboon.
Yeah, I want a lamb jam fraser, or I want chicken tikka madras, because
that's what I've always had.
Yeah, and that's what I want. Yeah. I mean, we have wet fish counters in the shop, so we can not manipulate. We can steer people. We can steer people in the right direction. So we could say, look, oh my God, look at these sardines. Oh, and they'll say, I had sardines when we went to Portugal last year and we loved them. Oh, I didn't know you did them. And I go, look, let me cook you a couple on us. If you like them, next time you come in, you can have sardines. Oh, would you? And a lot of people, you give them a couple of sardines, what's it cost you? £1?
Yeah, exactly. You remind me of, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but he's going to hear this. Johnny, the butcher, Johnny Pushlight, he's the same. I was there. Yeah. And he goes, hey, try this. He just puts it on the grill, starts feeding me. And I'm like, all right, mate, chili beans. And it's like that, but it gets people motivated and excited about food, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that...
And he's proud of that. I went in the other day and he's just made a new black pudding and it's stunning. Yeah. And he's like, try this. Because we're both Hungarian. My dad and his dad were... There was a Hungarian disco here in Nottingham, and as kids, unbeknown to me and Johnny... We would both be at that disco.
You must have known who Johnny was.
6 and 7 years old. I mean, not now, but then, so it was like a Hungarian dance. So, we used to go to that as kids.
Yeah, and I think it's just, if you or your staff or your team have that pride, and, like you said, going back to, what was it? You cook for the customers.
The sardines.
Yeah, the sardines. Yeah. They feel it. Yeah, they eat it and they're like, oh, that's really nice. But then they become loyal to you doing that as well. Like, they did it really nice. I'm going to go back there.
And where do you go in a fish and chip shop and have the ability to pick some sardines?
No, nowhere really. I don't think. Yeah,
coastal maybe. I know. Obviously, we spoke about rockfish and
I think where the coast is, people expect it. I think for definite. Do you think that again, if you think your first shop was in Nottingham? A lot of the shops, where your shops are, let's say a lot of the other sort of competing businesses, they would be doing your kebabs and your pizzas and stuff like that. Do you ever get customers come in and go, oh, you've not got a kebab, and walk out, or was that?
Yeah, no, we did. I mean, we used to do a half roast spring chicken, free range chicken, and we just ended up eating them. We never sold anyone anything, but. I'll say to them, look, if they come in here at Mansfield Road, they'll say, oh, you don't do kebabs, mate? And we'll say, look, there's a really good kebab shop next door. And, because sometimes on a Saturday, we'll buy the staff pizzas from there, or we'll buy kebabs. And I'll say, look, they do it and we don't. So if you want to order some fish and chips or go and order a kebab, come back here.
Bring it together.
We'll cook it for you. And I think that's the easy thing to do, isn't it? If you're not going to go down that route, we've tried... we did a tandoori pork kebab, and we tried different things, but it just ended up being staff food for the week.
Which is nice,
which is great.
Of course,
yeah.
They love it. They love it when you test things out. So just sort of see that maybe the fish and chips sector maybe is probably going to be more maybe seafood, fish focused over the years. Do you think?
I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
I think because I just think that you could probably name. We talked about Gary at the Scallop Shell and Mitch and Rockfish and. Long Sands,
top guy.
brilliant. Simon's an amazing chef, and his food's phenomenal. But if I did a KFE training day, and I was talking to a couple of guys there, and I said, they said, we haven't got a wet fish counter. I said, buy a Belfast sink, get some ice from your fishmonger, and just put 6 soles on there. Find out where he got them from. Dorset sole, Cornish sole, little blackboard, £8, £9, whatever. I said, what's the worst that's going to happen? I said, you get to the second day, you're not sold them, then
Staff dinner. Yeah.
Staff dinner them. And I think if chip shops could do that, I just think it would evolve the industry.
Yeah.
Because people are wanting to, people's dietary requirements have changed. People want to eat more healthy. People want to eat baked.
I read an article the other day and it said Britons are the most travelled people in Europe.
Yeah.
And so we're going out to all these places and eating all this great food, and we want to come back to England and have it.
Yeah.
So I think that, if you come back, and I think maybe in our industry, maybe there's probably a large reliance on, and not all the time, but I can see why, but maybe there is a large reliance on things from the freezer as well. Whether it's, I don't know, some sort of squid product, let's say. And I see it, and they're quite popular. And I'm sure there's a market for that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're fantastic. But it wouldn't hurt if every now and then they dabbled with a little bit of fresh thing as well, just to keep their fingers in the pie, as to say.
Yeah. I think, skill, people say, you haven't got the same skill set. But if you buy a non-stick pan, a non-stick frying pan, and you got a fillet of bass, I honestly believe my 5-year-old daughter could cook it. And I mean that sincerely. Yeah. She could... obviously supervised by an adult. God, I have the NSPCC on me. And I think if she could put a little bit of oil in that pan and put that piece of bass in, and you leave the bass for 3-4 minutes on one side, and it's 80% cooked, you flip it, turn it off, and now, we haven't got hobs, or we haven't got buy a little plug-in induction cooker.
They're great.
They're £40 now. Mm. They're absolutely no money. They're instant heat. Have a go. What's. But that's
and if
that's
it
where
does
I think
well,
we need
get a plancha, get something, move up a step,
and then maybe do 2 fish, or maybe and if they did it as an add-on, if it was small fillets of bass and it was 2 for £5, and I might have that as a starter, or a few prawns, or I just think that way people would go, what? And Gary did a great thing, Gary Rosser at the KFE thing. He did mussels, and people were like, "Oh my God, I didn't know how easy they were."
It's mad, isn't it?
I think it's quicker than doing a box of chips.
It's true. Yeah.
It's quicker.
Yeah. I think it's the fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the fear of, and the good thing with KFE is that they do train people about the different types of fish. You could imagine if they only stuck to showing people how to fry, because that's mostly their equipment. But the fact that they actually show people the rest of it as well, I think that's really good in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And like I said, we did some mussels on there, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's so easy." And I was like, "Yeah."
So how have you seen the price rises? How are you dealing with price rises of seafood at the moment?
It's just, I think I'm in the same boat as everyone else.
Yeah.
Literally, I think. It's difficult because fish and chips is perceived as a cheap meal. It's so not. If you were to go, the piece of cod that we buy far outweighs a chicken breast. Yeah, you could go and get a chicken breast in a spicy gravy, aka a jalfrezi or a madras, and it's £12.
Yeah.
But yet, my takeaway cod is £5.50. But I need to put the price up. I'm going to have to put the price up because the quality, the cost of the ingredients has gone up. So it's just difficult. But it's about, for us, it's about having mackerel that I can have on at £6.50, and make my margins on that. It's about making sure that we upsell peas, gravy. It's making sure that we try and upsell one of our homemade mayonnaises, tartar sauce, chili mayo. It's about trying to get a drink out of them. Back to the supermarket scenario, if I can get your spend from 7 to 12 or 12 to 17.
All that margin adds up.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the gross profit, it's a cash margin.
It didn't cost you any more to serve that to that customer anyway. So if they came in with the intention to buy cod and chips twice, and you managed to get 2 peas and a tartar sauce out of it, you should feel good for yourself. Because,
well, it's an extra £2.70 in the pot.
And if you can do that with every customer that came in, 100%. Let alone every extra customer that comes in, you've sort of done well there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I think that you mentioned that that you feel that there is probably a ceiling on fish and chip prices because of the perception. And I think that probably does go back to, like, not so much the perception, but the reality that fish and chips fed the masses, you know. And I think that, but years ago, cod was not worth a lot. And, you know, probably a lot of the time went in the bin, like before it was being used for fish and chips. So.
Yeah, and spuds would, you know, look at spuds, how volatile the market is, and how, you know, last year at £14-15 a bag. And
I think, I don't know if you heard the podcast I did with Stuart Mitchell, who's like the biggest potato merchant in the UK, I'd say. He wouldn't say that, but I'd say that. But he was saying that potato farming has become more specialist. So before, if people were just doing a bit of wheat, and a bit of this, and a bit of that, and a bit of this, and they've got some animals. Now they don't, because the equipment's got so expensive, people are specialising in potato farming. So that is driving up pricing. Yeah. And I think this is just the way it's going to be now.
Yeah, and you know, the big boys, McCain's come in, and you know, when there's potato, they'll just come in and they'll buy it not bagged, and they'll pay £40 a tonne more than you. And all
took away all the friction, haven't they?
Yeah. We'll take the lot.
Yeah, we want it in bags. We want it delivered to our shop 10 at a time. We want it to pile it there in the corner. And you can see, like...
Up 3 flights of stairs.
Oh, yeah, in your case. So you can see how, you know, like, you can see how the friction is building with farmers and merchants and fish and chip businesses, because, you know, it's going to get worse. And if we want the better potatoes as well... we want them graded. Yeah. We want the right size for chips. Don't want them black and bruised.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I think Stuart Mitchell made a really interesting observation, point even, that they bring in, you know, they were quite responsible for bringing in a lot of the new breeds, and if no one's going to pay for them, you're not going to get them. So, you know, so it's just interesting, like, but I think, where do you think your ceiling price is? Like, you know...
I think, I mean, you know, minimum wage is going to go up in April. Cod's going to go up because the quota's coming down. Haddock may come down because the quota's gone up, but it's all... Listen, prices are going one way. And so I think my price is going to have to go up at least 10%. So my cod at the minute is $5.50 takeaway. I'm going to be at $6.20. Yeah. I'm going to have to be. And I didn't want to... I wanted to do it January, but I didn't because we won. Yeah. And I didn't want all the customers going, you put the fucking price up because you won. Because...
Yeah, they would.
They would. They wouldn't say it like that.
No, you never know. Like,
they might do.
Some might throw something at you, but I think you could understand their frustration if you did, though. Like,
and so
I've put 2 and 2 together. Yeah.
So I've gone through every element of the menu. I've gone through all the baked fish. I've gone through the cost of the scallops, and we've tweaked prices. Cod and haddock has stayed where it is, and our lunchtime special has stayed where it is. But in April, it will have to go up.
Got to move it.
Otherwise, you know.
Where would you like it to be in their ideal world?
I think cod and chips takeaway is worth £10 all day long, because to me, if I look at other quality takeaways, I can't go and get a good pizza for less than a tenner. I can't. A good pizza.
I was going to say, you can't buy crap pizza from most places.
No, but I can't buy. You can't buy a good curry and rice for a tenner takeaway. You can't.
No.
So why is fish and chips? Fish and chips. The skill level involved and the quality of the ingredients and looking after those ingredients and the sourcing of the ingredients far outweighs a chicken curry and rice. Yeah. But yet they can quite easily get that and more, but we can't. And I think £10. You should have a taxes in Italy just charge everyone the same. Every chip shop should say, look, if you're doing an 8 to 10 ounce cod with 12 ounce of chips and you're serving it in a box and you're cooking it to order and you're using sustainable ingredients, £10.
Yeah, I've often said that the National Federation of Fish Fryers should just have like a guide, and it's an advisory guide. No, you're not going to pressure people to do it, but if every time they train somebody, and let's say you can get KFE to agree as well with their school, and let's say 3 ounce, 6 ounce, 9 ounce, and we give them a name. And that's the advisory initially. That's the advice note, you know. And you know that no one's going to have the same price initially, but if everyone can call things the same thing, that's a start, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. But I think you're right that, you know, you might... What is your regular cod size?
8 to 10 ounce.
8 to 10. And you think probably in other places a regular cod is probably what, 12ish maybe, 10, 12. So there's a discrepancy there, isn't there? Like, you know, you can't call them the same thing.
You know, there's some chippy up the road. A portion of chips would feed 4 people.
Wow.
They, you know, it's piled in. It's wrapped in paper. It's
like the old parcels.
It's steamed. It's congealed. But you know, that's my competition. Regardless of the fact that, you know, we're the best shop in the UK, you're still governed by
local practices.
Yeah, of course you are.
And ultimately, they're going to have... But to be fair, though, that customer base is not probably going to come to you. They're going to see you as pretentious, a bit small, a bit pokey, the portions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, if they were forced to come here with a gun to their head, they'd probably be like, oh, bloody hell, I've got to go there and buy 4 lots of fish and chips for 4 of us. Whereas that other person...
Yeah. I'll have 1 chips and 2 fish and I'll cut them in half.
Yeah, but I think that is probably... that's a throwback to when cod and haddock were cheap.
Yes.
You know, but I think I do wonder, I sit there and I wonder how long can they play the game for, because... You know, you've got your VAT, you've got credit card, you've got everything now.
Yeah.
That, you know,
well, we're going to be cashless, aren't we? 10 years we'll be a cashless society.
You think 10?
So I think so.
Yeah. I think 10's really like... I see... I want to say earlier, but I feel like 10's probably a safe bet.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, yesterday I left the house, I didn't have my wallet, I needed to put fuel in. No, I was out and I left my wallet at the hotel and I just paid on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just like... There was no fear. I wasn't afraid that, like, oh, I've got no money. They're gonna have to fill out that old slip that they used to. I did it once, and now it's just like, oh, 1 minute, here's my phone. Like, dush, like anything.
Oh, I mean, since you know, we used to have enough cash here to pay all the suppliers. We don't have that now. You know,
really?
No, we don't. We used to do cash wages. You know, we'd give them a pay slip and we'd pay them because it was you get. You get charged for banking cash. Yeah. So my theory was, if I can get rid of all the cash to suppliers, then I'm happy.
Makes sense. One of my customers said recently that he's had all his debit cards or quotations done, whatever you call it, and he said that it costs the same for debit card transactions as what it does to bank cash.
Yeah.
So he said, why would I want cash? Like, I've got a headache, got insurance headache. Yeah. So insurance will probably never come down. Once it's there, it's there. But the idea is that, do you see that customers spend better when they're not handling cash?
Yeah, I think it's a generation thing, isn't it? The older generation are very much
checking their coins.
Have you got a tip jar, love? And do you know what I mean? They know that the cod and chips is $5.70. Just smash it on the counter. There it is. It's gone up this week. What?
Yeah, and you let them off for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the next generation is literally just going to be like, pay it, think about it another day.
Yes.
Yeah, and that probably benefits seafood restaurants. Well, all restaurants, to be fair, takeaways. Yeah.
And I think it's a well-known fact that, you know, click and collect, they'll spend more.
Yeah. Any way you can remove friction, I'm guessing, it's just going to be better.
Yeah, totally.
So, what would you say? What would you say you'd wish you'd known, that you know now, than what you did when you started your business career? Let's say.
I think. Good question. I would say that I wish I'd got the ability to turn off. I really struggle with turning off from you know, go home. So I go home, my wife's at home with the children, so how's your day, usual stuff, and then we start talking about work because she's in the business, and all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm still at work. And I think I wish I would know or learn how to shut the office door or turn the fryers off and go home and stop, I guess.
I suppose, how do you both juggle running the sites and the kids and a busy lifestyle?
I mean, my wife does 3 days a week because our children, one's still not at school, the boy's still not at school. So we have childcare for 3 days, and Helen does the marketing. So it's very different to me. You know, I'm sort of in it, but Helen's like saying, well, what do you think of this? And I don't really get an opinion, really, because she'll say, what do you think of this? And I'll go, I don't really like that. She'll go, well, we've already done it. It's cost you £300, so brilliant.
Did it yesterday.
Yeah. Have you not seen the ad? It's out. But yeah, but it works. You know, it works.
I've got to say, if she's doing the marketing, was she behind that mushy pea toast thing?
No, that was one of the staff.
How the hell does that go locally viral?
I know.
I know it was locally viral, but still, nonetheless, it wasn't a big deal in my view.
She has it every day for breakfast.
Oh, really?
And I walked in, I went, what are you doing? She went, it tastes like scrambled eggs. I said,
no,
it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Do you not want to get a check though? Like
the toast bit definitely tastes like toast.
Yeah.
But she said, honestly, it's got the same texture as scrambled eggs. And
her scrambled eggs must be a bit rough.
Yeah. But that's one of the. I mean, she does a lot of our social media, so she eats it for breakfast.
Look, and it's amazing how little things like that can get you going viral. Like, and there's viral on different like levels, but that would have got people talking. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
like, yeah. You know.
Yeah, we did the battered cream eggs at Easter, and Piers Morgan mentions it.
Oh, really?
And battered sprouts at Christmas with cranberry dipping. We did a little cranberry dipping sauce, battered sprouts. Piers Morgan mentions it on this morning, and all of a sudden, you've done 40 kilo of sprouts, and you're like, oh my god.
But I sometimes refer to those things as gimmicks, like, and I get it, like, but they're not in a way, because they are probably quite fun and interesting and gets people talking, and ain't that what we're in the business for? Like, so ultimately, if you've got people in the queue having a bit of a laugh and joke about it, you know what? If you've sold it and they're having a laugh, they're there. I think maybe business can take itself too seriously sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, some things that we've done have bombed, and you've thought, oh my God, why have I done that? And I remember spending a load of money on some chocolate moulds, and I spent thousands on these chocolate moulds. We made these little chocolates, and we never sold them. And in my head, I thought, this is an amazing idea. And I've still got all the moulds here if you want them. I keep looking at everyone and think, why have I bought all them?
Maybe you should just give them that to customers one at a time.
I know. Just do you want a mould? And some things do, but yeah, you're right. It's a talking point, isn't it? We do, stupidly, well, not stupidly because we sell tons of them now, but we do jelly eels. But we put jelly eels, but not as you know it.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's a Haribo. It's a Haribo snake.
Yeah.
That we put in a pot. I don't make a penny on them, right? But as a gimmick with a label, with a Cods Scallops label on there, jelly eels, not as you know it, for the kid or the kids to take home or whatever.
Or the husband.
The husband, in the car on the way home because they're starving. And we sell tons of them.
Last week when I came, and I saw the sign there that said jelly deals, not as you know it. I must admit, I curiously walked over and just looked over and I just walked off laughing. Walked off laughing. I thought, I just
peer over like that.
Yeah, and I thought, if you can look back on the cameras, you'll see me just look over and think, that's funny.
He's going to nick it. He's going to nick it.
But what would you say, like, your biggest challenges have been so far?
Biggest challenges are, I guess, getting the right staff. It has been the biggest challenge. I think initially getting customers to understand it, because it was very confusing. It was, you walked in and there's a huge menu there with a load of fish on it, and it took some of them just walked back out.
Oh really? Yeah, a bit too much for them.
Yeah, and they're like, well, where's your cod? Where's your cod? I just want cod. Or not even cod. Where's your fish? I just want fish. They've got this groaning fish display with like 20 species on there. But challenges are staff really. But we, we're constantly looking at possibly paying national living wage across the sites. I'm looking at all the staff get private healthcare, which extends to their children. So and the dependents. So husband, wife, 3 kids, they all get private healthcare to the same level. We have 3 levels of healthcare. So managers get level 1, and it's like an NHS top up. So they get, £250 towards opticians, dental treatment, physio, counselling. Counselling, mental health's a big.
That's a big thing now.
A big thing, and if I can, a single mum that works for me with a couple of kids, or a mum that works for me with a couple of kids that gets private healthcare, all of a sudden, are they going to go and work anywhere else? They've got to really think about it.
Whereas if it's just for argument's sake, I don't know, £8 an hour flat. They come in, they do the job, and they go home. If something else comes with £8 an hour with perks,
you're
up against that straight away. But I think that's a really interesting point that you make there. That I wonder if that will be expanded over the years, and so more people can get perks like that at work.
I mean, we did it because we just saw, someone come and say, I've had 2 days off because my shoulder hurts, and I'm like, well, let's look at getting you physio then.
Yeah.
So I looked at it's a plan, and so I thought physio. I'm not feeling great mentally at the moment. I'm not coming in. Well, you've got some counselling sessions. Go and use
how
them.
are you assessing, or would you just let the staff come to you and say about their mental health, or would you? Because it is a very big thing now, where you've probably got to be quite careful how you broach something like that.
Yeah, and I think since having the healthcare, they don't need to approach me. They can just go. They go online. They find a that's involved in the scheme, and there's thousands of them in Nottingham, and they just go and book it. And some of them just will come and say thank you, and I'm like, well, So I said, look, I've been for a few sessions and it's really helped me, or same for physio. Look, or dental. I've got my tooth killing me. I've got to go off work. Well, you don't need to go off work, because we'll
get it fixed.
We've got dental treatment for you. So it's helped, but we're always looking at other options. We're looking at trying to maybe extend the holiday. So if they work for you for another 2-year service, maybe get an extra day's holiday, and it extends for every year that they stay with you. We close on Sundays, we close at Christmas, but it's tough because there's always going to be someone else down the road that will pay you more money.
Yeah.
And you can't compete with those.
You can't buy loyalty, though. That's the other thing as well. And loyalty comes from a lot of these things.
Yes.
And are you a good boss? Can you give me the day off when I need something? And loyalty it builds up, like it tops up, doesn't it? Loyalty does. And I think you can't demand loyalty straight away. But if you can get these perks, then it sort of starts the ball rolling a little bit at least. They feel comfortable.
Yeah. And I think, I remember one of my first head chefs said, you're only as good as your last main course and your kitchen porter. And I thought, you know what, that stuck with me for a long time. And you're only as good as your last main course, because that's the last thing you put out.
Yeah.
And that's the same in fish and chips. But you're only as good as your kitchen porter.
Yeah.
Not saying that kitchen porters aren't, but beneath anyone. But if you can get, our kitchen porter here has been here since day one. I mean, I'm like, and he loves it, and he's great. And he's a massive part of this business. He's a huge part of this business because he's loyal, he turns up, and he does a bloody good job. And that is
everyone has a role.
Volumes.
Doesn't
They
matter.
do. Yeah,
exactly.
And if that, and I always say to the guys downstairs, if a waitress doesn't turn up and you've got to pick it up a little bit, you can get by. But you know what? If a kitchen porter doesn't turn up, it's the worst, because you've got to go. One of you's got to jump in.
Yeah.
And no one wants to jump in. It's like no man's land, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not doing
Everybody's
that.
like,
yeah. Oh God. And it's a machine. How does it work? And you're like, you've been here 2 years. You don't have to pull the hood up on the dishwasher.
Yeah.
But it's true.
How do you sort of how do you self-develop? How do you self-train? What keeps you, other than, what keeps you learning and being inspired and motivated?
I get inspired by listening to other people. I get inspired by going to other restaurants, looking at good other ideas. It might not be fish and chip related, but yeah, I'm just a big dreamer. So I'm constantly going around going, oh, that's amazing. But yeah, certain people in life have inspired me, professional people, or just going to good places.
And what advice would you give anyone in the trade right now?
Quality counts. Stick to your guns. Whatever your ethos is, whatever your plan is, whatever product you want to sell, stick to it. Believe in it. Believe in that product. But quality will always come to the top. Quality will always rise, and I think that would be the biggest thing I would say is if everyone has that same ethos, then we're going to be in a good place.
Who has been an inspiration to you over the years?
I think childhood, my mum. Going back to how she used to cook and her flavours and the dishes she used to cook for us and how she was just as a woman, really, because she was a mum and a dad. So it was phenomenal to have a mother like that. My first head chefs, a guy called Martin Noon, who was one of those old school brutal. I remember once, I think I was probably 2 weeks into the job, and he was like, Go and get a fucking Dover sole out of that fridge. And I'd like run to the fish fridge and I'd be looking at all these fish thinking, what's a Dover sole? Like, what is a Dover sole? And he came running to the fridge because I didn't know what it looked like. And he picked this Dover sole up and he hit me round the face. And it cut my cheek, because he hit me with the rough skin.
Yeah.
And he was, it's this, you twat. And he just hit me with it. But he was a great chef. He could cook like a dream. I still talk to him probably once a week.
Yeah.
So very inspirational for him. Later on in life, I'm really good pals with Sat Baines and his wife Amanda. I think he's a phenomenal chef, and he is. You know, there's no doubt in that. He's a really good guy. When I go away, and we go away quite a lot on holiday, and Amanda is the driving force behind that. She's the one that has been the driving force behind their restaurant. And I listen to Amanda a lot. She talks a lot of sense. So she's very inspirational when we're asking questions about business, about what you're doing. But Sat's really cool. I'll be sat next to him on a plane, and we might be, I don't know, flying out. I think we were flying back from Barcelona, and he's just doodling, and he's done a dish. You know, we've had some tapas. You know, I've just gone there and had tapas, glass of wine, and nibbles in the afternoon, and all of a sudden he's and I think that is very inspirational.
He's quite artistic like that, isn't he? I saw him on some doodles he put on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they do look quite alike.
But the way he's just constantly thinking flavour profiles, and
his brain's constantly working on
and
that.
I think that's amazing.
Do you have a favourite book?
Probably Peter Rabbit, reading it to my boy. Cookbooks, a lot. I love White Heat. You know, again, it was from any chef growing up. It was inspirational book. It was the first book that, you know, Marco was a rock star, wasn't he? So I think White Heat from cookery books. I don't really read any books, right?
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good book.
Yeah,
it's a good book. We, I don't know if you listened to it, but we had Stephen Terry on the podcast, who used to work for Marco for a long time.
Yeah.
And the stories he's got,
I know.
Yeah, crazy stories. But no, mate, I just want to, you know, we've come to the end of our podcast, and we've gone through quite a bit of stuff. I don't think we've missed anything, have we? And
I hope not.
Hopefully I have.
Tough shit.
Yeah. And but you know, I haven't known you for long, and I just feel like, you know, it's been a good podcast, good for people to listen to, and thank you for doing it.
No problem. Thank you.
And thank you for your time, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Stelios.